Good, whatever time of day it is. Isn't that a lame way to start?
Good day
Sorry.
to you.
Hey, you know what? This is typically the Curt and Jen in the Morning podcast. However, today, since Jen has gone off, and she's pretty deep. When you say pretty deep into the wilderness, that's Lake Roosevelt, which I believe is by Cooley.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So, due
Not
to her
much
not
internet
having
out there.
any kind of reception or whatnot, we have the lovely and talented Stephen Kilbreath. Thank you.
Ah,
I said thank you for you, by the way.
I love that. Thank you.
Uh,
Yes.
Longtime friend of mine. We've been buddies forever, and you may remember Stephen from man. You are the king of all media because you were on. You want to name the radio stations? You were on Cube forever. You were on KMPS when it was still a country station.
Well, I started on the radio back when I was 16 years old
Just a
at
wee
where I grew
lad.
up in Anacortes. But then the main stuff was working with the T-Man in the morning on Cube 93, rest in peace, and then working with Ichabod Kane and the Waking Crew on KMPS, rest in peace.
Wow.
Not Ichabod, but the station. So.
And then you snuck over to the TV side, the dark side, if you will.
Yes.
And
So on the, as you and I call it, the picture tube, and we are. I work at King 5. I just fill in at King 5 doing weather and traffic occasionally.
right. And then also, our friendship turned into a business partnership of some sorts because you are the owner and king of Stephen Kilbreath Events.
Yeah, no, that's been fun. It's been great working with Curt on that as I do auctioneering for nonprofit events like schools and foundations and things like that. And we raise a lot of money. We raise what, millions and millions of dollars a year for these
Absolutely.
organizations. And Curt graciously stepped up at an event probably what, 15, 20 years ago, 15
St.
years ago
Jude's, I
maybe.
think. Yeah. St.
And
Jude's fundraiser.
did sound for an event and now does sound for all of these events and DJing. And I know you got the 360 selfie camera and you do it all. You got the lights, you got the staging and everything like that. So it's been
Was
awesome.
I was looking forward to working with you, but also it gave me an excuse to buy some toys. So, that's ultimately what ended up happening. So thank you for being here today, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's
For
awesome.
today and tomorrow, and I'm maybe leave Monday. Jen will be back on Tuesday. So last
And I
night,
can I can
go
I
ahead,
interrupt you for two
please.
seconds? I have known Jen for a long time too because when I was just out of college, I worked at KPLZ and then Star 101.5 with
Right.
Casey Keating and all those guys back in the day. And so I knew Jen then, and my OG wife, the original wife, also worked there. She was an intern
All right.
at KPLZ, but she's now with somebody else.
And
But
I
there
don't
you
know
go.
if people realize how unusual it is to, I mean, I would say for the whole Seattle market, but certainly for KPLZ Star 101.5 to have people be there as long as we were. I mean,
Oh, for
I
sure.
was the new guy. I was the new guy. And when things wrapped up, back on April Fool's Day, and we were given our walking papers, that had been 22 years I've been there, 22 or 23, and Jen been there. I believe that her resume only has one job on it, and it had to do with Star 101.5. So,
That's awesome. And I will
yeah.
say
So
she hasn't changed in all those years. She's the same
isn't that
person.
amazing?
Awesome.
She has.
I have to clarify something. When I said my OG wife is with somebody new, I just want to say we divorced and amicably, and she did end up getting remarried. I didn't mean to make it sound like it was like something
Bad.
bad happened.
I didn't think it
So,
sounded that way, but thanks for the
okay. I just
clarification.
want to
Good.
clarify.
And last night, we one of the auctions that we did last year, every now and again, you as the auctioneer, myself doing sound and lighting, one of these items will come and say, "Hey, I'm going to bid on that. That sounds great." So you actually won at one of our auctions a wine tasting slash dinner at Grassie. Is it winery? Grassie Vineyards.
Yeah, the William Grassie
That's it.
winery
Yeah.
event space, but I think it was at their personal home, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was great. We had and I can say it correctly, charcuterie. If people remember back to the show on the radio, they were saying you didn't say it right. I think I did. Charcuterie and some great potatoes and what was that? Sirloin, New York strip? No, it
Steak,
wasn't.
yeah.
So it was fantastic, and of course, some great wine too. So highly recommended, William Grassie, and he's a nice guy too. Bill is a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah. And then
So
the food was from Kimberlia, who runs a place out in North Bend. She had a restaurant there for a long time, and
yeah,
so that was great too.
yeah, it was awesome. And one thing I found, well, before you go to these kind of events, I mean, I went with my wife Dana, and I knew that well, I was going to be designated driver. She is a wine lover, and so it's like, okay, hey, you know what? Yes, this is a wine tasting, but there were a lot of heavy pours, and there are a lot of different varietals that we tasted. So she always denies when she's buzzed, and we actually had to talk about that. And she said, yeah, a regular Dana, it's like, oh yeah, I know, I have, it was a lot, by the way, which was good. But whenever I tell her in the moment when she's actually a little bit buzzed, like, no, I'm not, you know. So, but I can tell because on the way home, she's like, okay, I'm doing the music, It's like, all right, you do the, which is fine. And then, but she sang along to every song and did little dances as well. If you can imagine Dana,
Yeah.
she's because she is a big fan of Jimmy Buffett. So here's my favorite Jimmy Buffett song, and then right away, oh, and this is my favorite Foo Fighters song, and just jumping around like you do, like songs halfway through, and she got bored with it or whatever, and on to the next thing. So it was a fun ride home, and I
That's
enjoyed some
funny.
music I'd
Yeah.
never heard before.
Well, as my kids say, that she took over the ox. That's kind of the
Oh
term,
my
right?
God, that's
So
right.
they became
Yeah,
that.
when I was at that event, and the kids were like, "Hey, you got ox?" And I thought it was an artist or a song. I was like, "Ox? Yeah, you got ox?" It's like, sorry, I did not bring that particular selection. They're whoever was in charge, their chaperone came in and was like, they want to know if you have an auxiliary input. It's like, oh yes, we can cover aux. I did not know the hip term at the
I'd
time.
be willing to bet that even my kids don't know that it means auxiliary. I mean,
Yeah, it's just they've grown up. It's just, hey, put on aux.
yeah.
What happened? You were on after we left the event last night, and you were looking for a place to actually have some more food, right? Um,
Well, not more food, but just it ended at what 8:30. There's more
right,
time to go,
right.
but yeah, no. A friend and I, we were going out to the places here, and I live in Snoqualmie, and the
Mhm.
winery was in Fall City, and there was only one restaurant in the entire area that was open, and
At
it's
eight
just
thirty.
at 8:30. I mean, most of them were in the process of closing, and it's just surprising to me. I just was wondering, I was talking to my friend, it's like, were places open later pre-pandemic? Did restaurants used to stay open till like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, or is that just my imagination?
Well, it seems like it, but also I think that, and I live in, well, Mill Creek, but technically it's unincorporated Snohomish County. Snohomish is my mailing address. And yeah, some of the smaller towns, they close up pretty early on a weeknight too, right? Is it a
Yeah.
weeknight? It was.
What night was it?
Well,
Yesterday?
I'm between gigs right now, so
Yeah.
AKA unemployed. So I'm losing track of the days.
Oh,
So I don't know if that was a pandemic thing or not, but yeah, sometimes I'm surprised when this is, way, way far away, but when I go to visit my dad and my sister's in Florida, in Naples, on the weeknights, it's like, okay, yeah, they're closed now. It's like it's 9. It's like, yeah, they
yeah.
close.
Well, that might be the thing. I don't know. And maybe it's just but and it never really matters to me because I'm usually, long, I'm the guy who would love I love the Anthony's 4:30 in the afternoon special,
There you
so that's
go. You can't get the blue plate special yet, though. You're not
yeah,
that. What's the deal with being
pretty
next
close.
on hold? You were next on hold and very excited. I know very little about the story.
I have a doctor appointment tomorrow, and they called me a couple of times saying they needed information from me, and I don't really know what they need. So I called back, and I was very excited because they said you are the next caller in the queue, which
Mm,
like to be the first person. And sometimes you call places and you're like, you're caller number 18 in the queue, and it's like,
right,
okay,
right.
well, press one to have your number done. And so I was in the car, and I had 30 minutes to drive into Bellevue, and I was still on hold the entire time while I was the next person in the queue. But I didn't want to hang up because I was like, oh my gosh, this is exciting. And then about 15 minutes into it, I was thinking, what smart alecky thing am I going to say to them? It's like, well, what did the other people say to be on the call for 20 minutes with you?
Exactly. So
But
whoever was second in the queue is really waiting a long time, and they're probably
yeah.
excited to be number, well, second.
So I hit number one to have the call back, and then my meeting was I got to my meeting in Bellevue, and they called like right when the meeting started. So
Of course.
if I could have just held on for another minute, just another minute, I would have got there.
But you never know that till it's
You
too
never
late.
know.
Until it's too late. Let's talk Olympics, of which, Stephen, how much of the Olympics have you been watching? Are you an Olympic guy or not?
Are we supposed to pretend like we're really hip and into everything that's going on, or what's the rule on the Curt and Jen in the morning podcast?
Honest answers.
Oh, honesty. That's interesting. That's not how we did radio back in the day. I would say I have watched zero of the Olympics.
Oh, okay. That's a pretty hard and fast number. Zero of the Olympics. Well, I mean, people don't have time for it or don't care that much. So, but it is kind of a big deal to some people. So, let's just go over real quick. Not a lot going on yesterday, but Team USA won four more medals at the
Hey,
Olympics.
all right.
They were all by the women. Katie Ledecky, the swimmer, who is unbelievable. She broke her own Olympic record in a 1500-meter freestyle, so she got a gold there. And then we got silver for the women's 100-meter freestyle with Tori Husk. Also silver in women's BMX, which I didn't know was a thing. I didn't know BMX was a thing at all for anybody.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
we got a bronze in women's canoeing. So go
So
American women.
I mean, you watch it, right?
I've
A
seen a
little
lot
bit.
of it, yes.
Yeah. The canoeing, is it like, because to me, when I picture canoeing, you're just like, having a nice day, and is the canoeing this one, or is that a different one? I don't know. But or is it like a bigger oar? I don't even know. But
The
it's just like you're meandering in the river and just having a nice afternoon. You have a little cooler and then a lunch, or is this like speed canoeing?
I don't know if canoeing and I imagine that canoeing and kayaking are two different things because I saw the kayaking yesterday and I don't know if they call it one and the same. But that was pretty hardcore. The kayaking, as you know, is going down the rapids and
For
whatnot,
sure.
and they got to slalom through these different levels and what have you. So I don't know if the canoeing is just like, oh, okay, and a bird comes and lands on their shoulder while they're canoeing. I doubt that's what it is.
I mean, I
I'm
think you should win gold if you have the best picnic, and then you come in like, it's like you're in third place, you get the gold because you weren't rushing, but you also didn't take too
sure.
long. You just had a nice day of canoeing.
There's going to be controversy over what was the best picnic. Well, they didn't bring any ketchup, so they don't. So, all right,
They
until
had
we
the
see that, which I think would
Toblerone.
be
They had a
fun.
big thing of Toblerone.
Love it. It is the first day of August, which we always go on the first day of the month,
Uh,
especially this part in the year. You're like, oh man, where's the year going?
I know, it's
So,
crazy.
things to look forward to in August. We were just talking about the Olympics. That goes on through the 11th. We also have the Little League World Series coming up on the 14th. That's when it starts. The NFL preseason starts tonight, I believe. And then
Already. Wow.
if you're into well, I do know that you like the show Only Murders in the Building.
I mean, yes, I
Well,
do.
season four of that starts in August and on the 27th.
I
Uh,
do. I have a love-hate relationship with that show. I mean, I think it's entertaining, and I think Martin Short and Steve Martin can be funny. And I know, I mean, I don't, and it's just the whole concept of Selena Gomez on that show is interesting to me. It's just, I don't, their friendship and all of that kind of stuff. And I know that, and all of that. And I personally don't think she's the greatest actress in the history of the world, but
hmm.
I think it's, the dynamic between the three of them can be kind of funny.
Yeah,
So
that
it's just lighthearted, I guess.
okay. I want to see it. I've not seen it yet, but I've heard good things. And then as far as movies go, of course, we had the big Deadpool and Wolverine open last weekend, I believe. So there's not a lot of big ones coming. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because these are important to everybody. I guess Borderlands is opening next Friday, along with M. Night Shyamalan's. Do you know how to say it? M. Night Shyamalan's.
Shyamalan, I think.
Yeah. He's got a new movie called Trap coming out, then Alien Romulus,
Hmm.
and then there's a new remake of The Crow with Bill Skarsgård that'll be out on August 23rd. So,
What's the last movie you went to in a theater? I mean,
oh
it's
geez.
like pre-pandemic, we used to go all the time.
It was Top Gun Maverick. And I
Oh,
left
wow.
with COVID.
Oh, you went to the movie and got COVID at the
Yes,
theater.
I mean I didn't know when I was at the movie that I was going to get COVID, but 3 days later, oh, okay, here it comes. So, but the movie was
Oh,
good. I don't know if it
good.
was worth, a week and a half of feeling lousy, but
How many, you had COVID multiple times though, didn't you?
well, my punch card has officially three COVIDs on it. When you get to
Wow.
five, I think you get a free COVID test or something. So yeah, three times so far, and I'm getting on a plane in a week or so to go back to Florida to see my family. So, I'm going to be the one wearing a mask, and people are like, oh, it doesn't do any good. It's like, well, it makes me feel better, and I think it does do some good, but regardless,
I was on a plane last week, and I would say there was maybe 20% of the people, 25 probably had masks. I mean, think that's great if that's, you
if that's
know,
your thing,
well, I mean, I think if it makes you, I think we should get to a point where we're not if you're sick or feeling susceptible to it, or you don't want to be in that situation, there
Mhm.
shouldn't be any sort of issue with it. And I think now it's just part of the culture. I mean, I was driving by what do you call it? Like where kids go, like a preschool, and you could see all of the adults had masks on out in the
Right.
parking lot, and that's just part of the world we live in now. It's
It's true. Oh, one
yeah.
last thing for August. August is the last month with no Kraken hockey.
Oh,
Back in September for preseason.
back in
I love that
September.
you're wearing your Kraken hat. I know.
Well, I did that for you.
I appreciate that. So hockey will be back before you know it. I think it's 45 or so days away. The countdown is on. August 1st, birthdays. Lots of musician people. Adam Duritz from Counting Crows is 60,
Oh,
which I
60.
still
Wow.
think I know some of the songs people say, they'll look at me. You guys in radio overplayed Mr. Jones, but I still think August and everything after the album is phenomenal. They're,
Oh, great album.
by Counting Crows. Chuck D from Public Enemy is 64. And Joe Elliott, singer from Def Leppard, is 65. They
Hmm.
are similar in age, and for some reason I was thinking Chuck D would have been like not in that group, but of people of
Well,
that age.
when was Public Enemy out in the
I
late
know
80s?
that's the thing. I know it's illogical, and if I did the math, I'd say okay, yeah, but and you were saying you thought Joe Elliott might be older than 65.
Well, just because Def Leppard was early 80s, right? So they must
Mhm.
have been just out of teenage years when they
As
started.
kids.
Yeah.
All right, so let's
What's your
back.
favorite Def Leppard song?
What's that?
What's your favorite Def Leppard song?
I think mine is actually from the album before Pyromania. I believe it's Bringing on the Heartbreak. Is that it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It's
little deep, but yeah, that's just but they have a lot of great songs. Photograph, I do like, and I know that was one of the hits.
yeah.
Um,
Pour
what
Some
else?
Sugar on Me was my prom theme song in high school.
Did you indeed have sugar poured on you that night?
Well, to be at the age I am now, I still don't really know what that reference means, so I'm gonna say no because I
All
don't really know. So,
right. Time for back to school for a lot of people, and we now have the cost of back to school shopping. And Stephen, your oldest, Ben, just started
mhm.
college, so
Well,
this
he's gonna, yeah, next
no longer
next month
applies to you. But Jack is still in high school.
he'll be a
Uh,
freshman. Yeah.
Back to school shopping survey found how much do you think? Well, because you've seen it, but the cost on average every year for back to school shopping is $586 per child.
Yeah, and I think most of that cost comes from like supplies that you buy for the school. I think
Okay.
that's where most of that cost comes in because the school sends out a list of things you need to buy. In high school, it's not going to be like that. That's more probably elementary school is what I'm
Hmm.
guessing. And then, you know, like when we were kids, you remember we would go down to the J.C. Penney or the Sears or whatever, or the
Yeah.
places like that and get all the new clothes. And, you know, unless I'm just a bad parent, which is highly possible,
No.
we just don't do that. I mean the kids get new clothes all year round. I mean they get all these shoes all the time. They don't need new
Right.
school shoes and all that kind of stuff. So we're not doing those kind of things. So,
But I don't think that your kids ever, or maybe any kids of this century, remember the wonder of Garanimals.
oh yeah, no,
It's easy. You just pick out a shirt and it matches with these. It's a Garanimal.
yeah,
So
those are
does
awesome.
that seem high to you, $586? Because actually it's down slightly from last year when it was almost 600 per child.
I don't
That's for
think
sure.
that I have ever spent that much for anything for my kids. No, I would say that I think most of it is going to be you know, I mean, if you're buying like a computer or
Right.
something like that, maybe that's what brings the average up, but you don't need to do that. The schools supply at least out here,
Yeah.
they supply the computers. So for the kids in the school.
We have here that parents spend the most on clothing and accessories. Tech
Mm.
is next, and then things like new computers and tablets and whatnot, and school supplies are third. Do they even still use number two pencils, or is that just like the old single building schools, red schools from the turn of the century, the last century?
Um, yeah, I think that they probably do, but I think that it's they make it all so all the parents get the supplies for the school, so they're equally divided out, I guess, to
Right.
the kids.
Well, with all the improvements in technology and everything over the years, you think by now they would have an improved pencil and they'd be on to like number three or something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, they were definitely whoever the pencil makers are. They did not follow the Apple model of
Yeah,
we're
every
on
six
pencil number
months.
75. This is the best one ever.
We have, and
That
Jen
was
would
funny.
love this next
Yeah.
little topic here because she actually was the one who told me about this. She mentioned one time a while ago that in order for your, if you're going to hug somebody, in order for it to be the full effect of the, I don't know, good vibes that happen, you have to hug for at least 6 seconds, which when you think about it, might be a little bit awkward if you actually hold a hug that long because it was like 6 to 12 seconds. Like, I'm probably a 2 or 3 second guy, if that. Well, here's a relationship hack. It says, and this is from a place called the Gottman Institute, which sounds important. Um, Kiss for 6 seconds every day. It's a 6 second kissing hack. It's supposed to be good for your relationship. Basically, the Gottman Institute came up with this based on how long it takes to trigger the release of oxytocin. I'm sorry. Is that right?
Um,
Oxytocin? O X
Oxy,
Y T O C I
because
N.
that's what you sell to people. But what's the oxytocin, maybe?
Okay. Well,
I know, I'm not
we're
looking at
not doctors, but
oxytocin. There you go.
we'll go with that. That is the love hormone that helps us bond with babies, pets, and each other. So they're saying a quick peck on the cheek or whatever is not going to be able to do it. It has to be a full six
Oh.
seconds of your kiss. And they say if you do this every day, it can make you feel more connected, increase those levels of that love hormone, and
Right.
reduce the levels of the stress hormone cortisol.
So like when you come home or when Dana comes in the door, do you always kiss and all that kind of stuff? And does it last for 6 seconds?
Well, two things. It does not last for 6 seconds, and it also doesn't happen until after she greets the dog. The dog gets this, she gets the warm welcome. Oh, my baby, how are you? And oh, hi. And then I'll get the little. So we'll have to work on that because it did also point out in here that the other option is a hug, but the hug, they say, again, in order for these all these things, these good things to happen, the hug has to say, take 20 seconds of hugging. And that to me, depending on how well you know, even if you know somebody really well, 20 seconds is a long time
Yeah.
to hold
Well,
a
I had
hug.
heard, so by the way, the Gottman Institute is in Seattle, Washington.
Oh,
But the hug thing I heard about at yoga one time, and the instructor was hugging everybody leaving class, and it did get awkward because she said 12-second hugs, and I was like,
mhm.
I mean, I'm a hugger, I don't have any issue with it, but the full
Right.
sweaty hug after yoga seems a little awkward. But
And it does seem like you'd at some point you'd like want to start a conversation about, 5 seconds in. So how are things
yeah.
going? How are the kids?
So
We
what
still
if I mean, I wonder if you can combine them, the hug and the kiss. I mean, or do you have to do them separately?
Oh, you know what? To cut down on the time.
Yeah.
So you could take 6 seconds off your 20-second hug if you're also kissing. I agree. That just seems efficient
Yeah.
rather, and effective. Are you overwhelmed, Stephen, by too many passwords and logins?
Well, no, only
Okay.
because I have very few of them. Which is, I have a friend who works in security and says that I
That's
am
bad.
very bad. Yes.
This is a survey that found 6 in 10 people feel overwhelmed by managing too many passwords, accounts, and logins. Most people seem to think this makes them more secure, having all those different ones, but they're still being too loose with their password management, according to experts. Because I thought that I had a very clever way, okay, and then I found out one of the things that say don't do is one of the things I'm doing. So, over half of people admit that they share their passwords with others, and this is like for I suppose Netflix and stuff like that. 40% admit to reusing passwords, which you're not supposed to do. Another quarter of people write down their passwords, and 1 in 5 keep them listed in a file on their computer or in a notes app. And I was like, oh, I should probably not put my passwords on my phone. That's probably not
Yeah.
great. Yeah, but they also say don't write them down. So I don't know how you. Oh, you know what you're supposed to do is get the secure password manager, which is a thing. A thing.
Well, then they generate, I think my friend was showing me all of these things. They generate new passwords for everything, and then it remembers it for you, and you pay them a fee or something like that. But then you have to go to that and then cut and paste this 40 character long thing and put it in every time, which seems a little silly. I mean, writing them down, I guess that's okay. I mean, my mom does that, and it's so funny because she'll have like 40 different passwords. And it's like, she goes, well, I can't get into my iPad anymore, Stephen. And I'm just like, that's not how she talks.
That was a
But,
good one though.
and then I'm trying all of these different passwords, and then you only get what, three, it's
Three
not like
tries and you're done for. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe that. Well, I suppose that is as far as security goes, and your security expert friend would probably say, get the secure password manager. But yeah, but then sometimes, like you said, if the computer remembers it, you just go to whatever page it is and it signs you in, and that's great. But then when it says, please input your password, like, oh crap, 40 characters is about right too.
yeah.
Craziness. Finally, um, are you a car guy? I'm not really a car guy.
I wouldn't say that I'm a car guy. No, I'm not. Yeah, that's not
Okay.
me.
Well, this actually this will be up for everybody to chime in on if they want. Ford Motor Company, they are trying to patent a system, and this system will report speeding vehicles to police. All right. So you're driving your Ford and somebody goes screaming past you, which is frustrating. And we all say,
Right.
man, where are the cops when you need them? Right. Apparently, this patents that they filed for back in January of 2023 will well, here's what it does. It will detect nearby vehicles traveling over the posted speed limit, and then it will use onboard cameras to capture an image of the speeder, right? Then the
Wow.
equipped vehicle will then be able to send a report containing both speed data and pictures of the speeding vehicle directly to law enforcement or roadside monitoring units.
Hmm.
Ford is saying this application that the surveillance vehicles would make law enforcement jobs easier, which is true, because they won't need to quickly identify violators and engage in pursuits. However, you had mentioned, are they also keeping track of when you're speeding?
Right. Well, I mean, that should be the case. I mean, and I thought originally when I read the story was that's what they were going to do is keep track of your own speed. I have a Ford. I drive a Ford.
I
So
do. I
I
have a Ford truck. Yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, I think that it would be great if they would monitor the people driving in the left lane too slow
Tailgaters, you're right. Well, you know
or
what? You mentioned before the people that cross the double white line.
oh, I
That's
can't stand it. It just
eh,
because you're going too fast in those express toll lanes, and then you have the people going 20 miles an hour or less in the regular lanes, and they switch over. I mean, that's
yeah.
not a great combination. Plus, it is against the law,
That's the thing. Because people say, well, it's not a big deal. It's like, well, guess what? Everybody else is following the rules. So don't be that guy. Don't be
Yeah, the
that guy.
express the express toll lane double white line thing is and my kids say just let it go, and it's like I'm sorry I can't.
I
So
can't. Well, it turns out that this patent that Ford filed for to have their catch the other speeders technology. They file patents for a lot of other things, I guess, and so not all those technologies actually ever make their way to production. So this might just be, yeah, we had this idea, let's go ahead and get a patent for it, and then it may never come to fruition. So, but I do agree that it'd be nice to have something that catches those other people. You know,
well, my car has a setting that if you're going over the speed limit, it flashes and does all of this kind of stuff. But luckily, they didn't tell me about it. I had to figure out how to turn it off myself because I'm like, that's ridiculous. So
but does it keep you obeying the speed limit? Speed limit, or do you are you the? We're all 5 mile over people, right? It's like okay, speed limit is 60. I'll go 65 safely.
just 65. Okay, that's good. So you're driving in the left lane too slow, is what it sounds like.
65 is too slow. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I'll look and see if you're behind me, and I'll pick up the pace a bit. All right. Okay. Here's what we want to know for tomorrow. And Steve and I will be back again. Steve will be back with me tomorrow, and we have a couple shows coming up that we're going to go see, buddy. I think Aerosmith is one, right?
Oh yeah, we
Because they
are.
rescheduled that. Um, the question is, who would you pay the most money to see in concert? You get,
Mm.
one person, I suppose. Who would you pay? Because this is you're like, okay, I've got $10,000. I'm just going to spend this on a concert. Um, but so that's exactly well, actually, that's not as ludicrous as it used to be. But who would you pay the most? Do you have an idea who you'd pay the most money to see in concert, or do you want to keep that to yourself or save it for tomorrow?
Well, it's not ludicrous, but I
Okay.
would say that I think we pay a lot for concerts already.
Yep.
So I mean, I paid a lot for shows that I wouldn't have paid that much money for earlier on. My favorite concert of all time is Coldplay.
Oh
I
yeah.
would probably pay whatever that is to go see them again. I'm seeing Pink, which was on the bucket list of concerts,
Sure. She's
and that's
phenomenal.
coming
You're
up
right.
in November, I think, or October,
It was
or maybe it's
rescheduled.
September.
Yeah.
It's rescheduled because she canceled.
And I don't want to throw this caveat out there because people can say whatever they want, but is this because I'm thinking, I guess it has to be people that are alive because as I'd be, oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan or the original, all four of the Beatles or whatnot. That's not going to happen. So,
Well,
so
if we're doing that, I wish that I would have seen Tom Petty.
oh yeah, I was
Fringe, probably.
fortunate enough to see him. My wife saw him several times. Tom Petty is Dana's all-time favorite, along with Jimmy Buffett. So there's the
Mhm.
question. You can leave your comments here or whatever platform you're on. Who would you pay the most money to see in concert? I like it. I'll think on it too. And by tomorrow we'll have a whole bunch of different answers, I imagine. At
Good.
least a few more. So thank you, Stephen. Looking forward to
Hey,
tomorrow, doing this
great.
all
Thank you
over
for having
again.
me.
And as Jen always says, she wraps things up by saying, make good choices, find joy, and spread kindness. Thanks.